we live in a world that just feels relentless sometimes.
Hmm.
Constant information, right? Attention pulled everywhere. Stress kind of feels like the baseline. But what if, just what if, there was a way, maybe a framework, not just to cope, but to really transform how you handle all that, unlock something deeper, even have some pretty extraordinary experiences? Well, today, you and I are doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're calling it the cognitive trinity: meditation, mindfulness, and metacognition.
That's exactly it.
Ugh.
And for this deep dive, we're not just going to define them separately. I mean, we'll do that, sure. But the real juice is how they weave together, how they create this synergistic system. We're talking real enhancements to your potential, some fascinating subjective feelings, and yeah, actual measurable changes in your brain and body. We'll dig into the how, the why, the science behind it, some really cool neuroscience, and importantly, how you can actually use this stuff and where it's already making a difference.
Yeah, and our mission, like always, is to pull out the absolute key insights from all the material we've looked at, give you that shortcut, get you properly informed on this framework for, well, personal mastery, just the important bits.
Okay, let's unpack this then. I know many of you listening probably know these terms, they get thrown around a lot. But before we get into how they work together, this Trinity idea, let's just nail down each one. What exactly are meditation, mindfulness, and metacognition, like at their core?
Great starting point, because yeah, they overlap, but they're definitely distinct. So meditation first, think of it as a deliberate practice, like mental training, really. Its goal is to train your attention and awareness. The sources generally point to three main types. First, focused attention, FA. That's where you pick one thing, your breath, maybe a word, a mantra, and you just keep gently bringing your focus back to it.
Like a workout for your focus muscle. Exactly, like a bicep curl for your attention span.
Hmm.
Then you've got open monitoring or OM. That's different. Instead of narrowing focus, you kind of open up. You just observe whatever comes up, thoughts, feelings, sounds, without getting hooked or judging them. It's less about control, more about um, being a curious observer of your own mind.
Okay.
And third, there's loving kindness, or metta. This one's specifically about cultivating feelings like empathy, compassion, sending out well wishes, basically. Now, the key effects here, across the board really, are things like boosting neuroplasticity. That's your brain's ability to change itself. Super important. It also dials down the sympathetic nervous system activity. That's your fight or flight stress response. And it ramps up activity in your prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's CEO, handling cognitive control, decision making.
Got it. So meditation is the act of training,
Yeah.
building those mental skills. Where does mindfulness come in then? Is it just what happens after you meditate, or is it its own thing?
Yeah, that's a really important distinction. While meditation is often the training ground for mindfulness, mindfulness itself is broader. It's defined more as the ability to stay aware, moment by moment, aware of your thoughts, feelings, what your body's doing, your surroundings, but with this attitude of openness, acceptance, not judging it.
So meditation helps you build the skill, and mindfulness is using it day to day.
Precisely. You can practice mindfulness formally, like in a meditation session, but you can also practice it informally, just being really present while you're washing dishes or walking or listening to someone. And the benefits are pretty immediate. Better emotional regulation, you're less reactive when things get stressful, your focus sharpens, memory improves, even helps reduce symptoms linked to anxiety, depression, PTSD. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Training versus application. So what's the third pillar? Metacognition. Sounds a bit more academic.
Huh. It can sound that way, but it's actually incredibly practical. If mindfulness is being aware in the moment, metacognition is often called thinking about thinking. It's like a higher level function where you observe and manage your own thought processes. Two main parts here. Metacognitive knowledge. That's basically understanding yourself, your mental strengths, your weaknesses, like knowing how you learn best.
Okay, self-awareness about your own mind.
Exactly. And the second part is metacognitive regulation. This is the active bit. Planning how you'll tackle a mental task, monitoring if your approach is working, evaluating the results. It's where you consciously ask, is this way of thinking helpful right now? Could I approach this problem differently?
So it's like stepping back and steering your own thoughts.
You got it. And its uses are huge. Better learning, obviously, better academic results, develops critical thinking, improves your decisions, helps you reflect honestly on yourself and adjust your behavior based on that reflection. It's about conscious evolution, really.
Wow, okay, that's a really clear breakdown. Each one sounds incredibly useful on its own, definitely. But the big claim here, the Trinity idea, is that when you put them together, it's more than just adding up the benefits. It's synergistic. How does that work? How is that feedback loop really different from just, say, meditating sometimes and trying to be mindful other times.
Yeah, that's the core of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it absolutely is synergistic. They feed into each other in this really powerful self-reinforcing loop. Think of it like a cycle. Function, input, process, output. Continuously refining things. So picture this. Meditation, especially in focused attention, acts like clearing the static on a radio.
Yeah.
It reduces the mental noise, right? Creates clarity. That calmer, clearer state is the perfect input for mindfulness.
Ah, okay. So meditation preps the ground.
Exactly. Then, with less noise, mindfulness lets you observe what's actually happening in the present moment with much greater clarity and, crucially, without getting instantly swept away by it. You see the thoughts, the feelings more objectively. This clearer, non-judgmental observation becomes the rich data, the process for metacognition.
Right, because now you can actually see what you're working with.
Precisely. You have the mental space and the clear awareness to step back and think, why did I react like that? Or is this worry actually productive? Or how could I handle this better next time? You evaluate, you regulate, you adjust. And that very act of metacognitive adjustment, that becomes new input that can deepen your next meditation session, make your mindfulness even sharper.
And the cycle repeats, getting stronger each time.
Exactly. It's an upward spiral. The outcome isn't just being calmer or more focused, though that happens. It's a fundamental shift. You move from feeling like you're just reacting to life to feeling like you can consciously observe, understand, and even recalibrate your own mental and emotional patterns. It's about gaining real psychological freedom and insight.
Okay, that makes the synergy much clearer. It's about how they build on each other directly. So this shift in our inner world, what's actually happening in the brain? Is this just feeling better? Or is there solid science backing this cognitive trinity up?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it gets really exciting, because the neuroscience is catching up to what people have described for ages. It's not just subjective anymore. For instance, you look at work from Harvard Medical School. They've shown pretty clearly that regular meditation actually increases gray matter density, specifically in areas like the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex.
And what does that mean for us practically?
Well, those areas are key for learning, memory, regulating your emotions, and even self-awareness. So you're literally physically building up the brain structures that support those functions. It's quite amazing.
Wow.
Then there's research from Yale University. They found meditation dials down activity in something called the default mode network, the DMN.
The DMN, isn't that linked to mind wandering?
Yeah.
And self-talk?
Exactly. It's kind of the brain's autopilot for thinking about yourself, ruminating about the past, worrying about the future. That constant internal chatter, often very ego-driven, meditation quiets that down. Less noise, less stress, more presence. And check this out. At Brown University, Judson Brewer's lab has done fascinating work showing how mindfulness can actually interrupt addictive habit loops, like cravings. It boosts your ability to regulate your behavior, build resilience, literally rewiring those ingrained patterns.
So that helps break bad habits too.
Yeah, potentially very powerful for that. And one more, University of Wisconsin-Madison. They've studied long-term meditators, like experienced monks, and found really elevated levels of gamma wave activity during meditation.
Gamma waves, those are the really fast ones, right? Linked to insight.
That's right, linked to states of heightened awareness, integration, insight, even feelings of unity and joy. So yeah, we're seeing tangible, measurable changes in brain structure and functions, not just in the mind, it's in the brain.
That's incredible. Beyond the brain scans and measurements, though, people who practice this stuff long-term often talk about, well, really unique experiences, things that sound almost profound, maybe even a bit strange sometimes.
Definitely. The neuroscience gives us the how, but the lived experience, the phenomenology, tells us the what. And yeah, some of these reported experiences are quite remarkable. One common one is synchronicity. People report noticing more meaningful coincidences. Now, the sources suggest this isn't necessarily spooky magic, but maybe more about your increased attention. You're just noticing connections you'd have missed before because your awareness is sharper, more open.
Interesting. So heightened awareness reveals hidden patterns.
Could be. Then there's something often called ego dissolution. People describe this feeling where the usual sense of a separate self kind of softens or dissolves. The boundary between me and other, or even the environment feels less rigid.
Like feeling more connected to everything.
Exactly, a sense of unity or interconnectedness. And interestingly, that links back to the neuroscience, right? That reduced default mode network activity we talked about. Less focus on me, myself, and I might naturally lead to a feeling of we or all.
That makes sense. What else?
Many people report heightened intuition, like getting strong gut feelings, sudden creative ideas, or just moments of clarity that seem to pop up out of nowhere. And increased access to maybe subconscious insights. And related to that is spontaneous insight, those classic aha moments. You're not even trying to solve a problem, and bam, the solution appears. And again, neuroscientists have actually seen specific brainwave patterns like shifts in alpha and gamma waves associated with these moments, especially after meditation.
So these aren't just random anecdotes, they're consistent themes emerging from dedicated practice.
Very much so. They really highlight the transformative potential that goes beyond just stress reduction, touching on deeper aspects of perception and consciousness.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful, really transformative. But let's get practical. For someone listening right now thinking, okay, I'm intrigued, how do you actually start putting this into practice? What are some concrete steps for individuals or even for organizations?
Right, because theory is great, but action is where the change happens. For individuals, it doesn't have to be complicated. You could start with daily meditation. Honestly, even 10 or 15 minutes each morning can make a difference. Focus on your breath, maybe a simple word or mantra. Just build a consistency.
So start small, but be regular.
Exactly. Then weave in mindfulness moments during your day. Maybe set a reminder on your phone once an hour. Just pause for 60 seconds. Take a breath. Notice your thoughts, body sensations. No judgment. Just check in. It's like a mini mental reset.
A little pause button for the chaos.
Yeah. And then, maybe in the evening, try some evening reflection. Just ask yourself simple questions. What patterns, mental or emotional, did I notice in myself today? How did I react to challenges? Was that helpful? Anything I want to adjust tomorrow? That's the metacognition piece kicking in.
Learning from the day's experiences.
Precisely. Now, for organizations, this is becoming huge too. Think about workplace programs. Bringing in things like mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR workshops, helping employees manage stress, stay focused, prevent burnout. It's a win-win.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, they're increasingly common. Also, in leadership coaching, integrating metacognitive skills is powerful. Teaching leaders to examine their own thinking, their biases, how they make decisions, leads to much clearer, often more ethical leadership.
Thinking about how they lead.
Exactly. And finally, fostering a productivity culture that actually values mental well-being, encouraging people to take real breaks, promoting intentional pauses, using these mental reset practices. It's not about slacking off. It's about sustainable high performance.
That's really interesting how it applies at both levels, personal and systemic. So where else are we seeing these tools making a real impact? Beyond the office and personal growth, what other areas are benefiting?
Oh, the applications are incredibly broad, really. Take education. Metacognitive strategies, teaching kids how to learn, how to monitor their understanding, lead to much better academic results, better focus, better retention. It's transforming study habits.
Empowering students to learn better.
Definitely. Then mental health. We touched on it, but the combination of, say, MBSR with therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is showing fantastic results for reducing anxiety, helping manage PTSD, lifting depression. It's becoming a core part of treatment for many.
Offering non-pharmacological tools.
Absolutely. And in the corporate world, beyond just stress reduction, these executive mindfulness programs are being linked to boosts in creativity, innovation, better team dynamics, more insightful leadership.
So tangible business benefits, too.
Yes. And in healthcare, think about chronic pain. Meditation is being used not just to distract from pain, but to change the relationship to it, building resilience, improving quality of life, and sometimes even helping people reduce reliance on painkillers like opioids.
That's huge.
It really is.
Yeah.
And even technology is getting in on it. You see all these biofeedback devices in meditation apps now. They give you real-time feedback on your brain waves or heart rate, helping you personalize your practice and track progress, making these ancient techniques accessible in a modern way.
Wow, it really is permeating so many different fields. Now, with all this potential, all these benefits, we should probably touch on the other side too. To keep a balanced view, what are the limitations or things people really need to keep in mind if they engage with this?
That's crucial, absolutely. These practices are amazing, but they're not magic. First big one, consistency is required. You generally won't see huge shifts after 1 or 2 sessions. Like physical fitness, the real benefits build up over time with regular practice. It takes commitment.
It's a practice, not a pill.
Well put. Second, and this is really important, these are not a cure-all. They can be incredibly helpful for well-being and managing many conditions, but they shouldn't replace necessary medical or psychological treatment. If you're dealing with serious health issues, these tools can be a fantastic complement, but professional help is still paramount.
So use them alongside, not instead of professional care when needed.
Exactly. And finally, something to be mindful of is cultural sensitivity. Remember, many of these practices, like meditation and mindfulness, have deep roots in ancient traditions, particularly Buddhism and Hinduism. As they become popular in the West and adapted for secular use, it's important to approach them with respect for their origins. Understand the context rather than just taking techniques out of context without appreciating the wisdom behind them.
Right. Acknowledge the source and the depth. Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? We've covered a lot of ground, from brain science to practical steps. What does this all mean for you listening?
I think the core message is that meditation, mindfulness, and metacognition aren't just nice ideas or fringe practices anymore. They are evidence-based, powerful tools for genuine transformation. Practicing them together, letting them weave into that synergistic loop we discussed, really does cultivate a more resilient, aware, and insightful mind. A mind better equipped to handle the complexities of modern life, find stillness, and tap into deeper wisdom.
So, in a world that's constantly throwing noise and distractions at us, this cognitive trinity really offers a clear, proven path back. Back to clarity, back to maybe some compassion for yourself and others, and back to having conscious control over your own inner world. It's about being present, aware, and ultimately steering your own ship. So, the question we leave you with after this deep dive is, what patterns in your own mind, your own life, will you choose to observe and perhaps gently recalibrate starting today?